Did I tell you guys about the only time I ever met Jordan Peterson? That was a crazy experience. So, speaking about the open mic comedy scene here in Melbourne, I was at a little room just off Flinders Street called the Highlander. Their last night is tomorrow, I think. Having their last gig tomorrow night, and the Highlander is about a 200-meter walk from a place called Speakeasy HQ, which I found out is a little vaudeville room. Cool little space where you'll get your magicians, you'll get your comedians, you'll get your did I say musicians or magicians at the start? Because all of those are there. Like, it's a really diverse. You have burlesque dancers in the room. Anyway, I was at Highlanders, so 200 meters away from Speakeasy HQ, when one night a guy came up to me and he goes, "Hey," it was during the time that Jordan Peterson was on his Australia trip, and he goes, "Hey, did you hear Jordan Peterson's around the corner at Speakeasy HQ?" So I heard this, and at the time, no idea, no reference as to what Speakeasy HQ was. I assumed it was like a book gig, a book tour, where he was just there speaking to an audience who had paid for tickets. And I said, "Oh, dude, like, what is this?" He's like, "Oh, it's just it's a little performance room." So I thought, okay, there's going to be a few hundred people in the room. But nonetheless, it'd be cool to see JP in the flesh. So I left and I said, "Hey, do you reckon I'd be able to get in?" They go, "Mate, anyone's allowed in." So I walked around to Speakeasy HQ. I walked upstairs and there was a couple of guys there was one guy on stage, a couple of acts in the room. And there was just about seven people in the audience, three of which consisted of Jordan Peterson's wife, Tammy, I think is her name, and Dave Rubin. And so I fangirled so hard in this particular point. First of all, because I thought, man, this is exactly where I'd expect to see Jordan Peterson. It's got that dark arts kind of vibe that, just as a bloke who doesn't know Jordan Peterson, apart from what I've heard about him and of watched of him, which is quite a lot in fairness, it served as a place where I thought, yeah, of course you're here. It was a really cool vibe, and I say that to him as a compliment, as like, yeah, this is exactly where I'd expect Jordan Peterson to be, and it made me even more proud to be in this room. And anyway, so I thought, oh no, like, I'm gonna be that guy, because I could feel my wife is shattered because she was down the road. S Club 7 was just doing a tour, their last tour. They had 3 members of the original group, and I texted her going, "Babe, you'll never guess who I'm in a room with." Jordan Peterson. She's like, "I'm stuck at a bloody S Club 7 concert." She was there with a best friend. They had tickets booked for months, so there was no escape for her. Anyway, there was an intermission, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do? There was boys lining up to speak to him, and as I said, there was probably 15 of us in the room in total. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to be that bloke. I'm so embarrassed because I've heard him talk about, and he seems to speak about it with an element of respect, and he always seems as though he handles it with a whole heap of, humility, and I like it, but I also understand how important just a little bit of free time is when you've got a reputation like he does. But the moment got the better of me. I couldn't help it. I sort of shuffled over with my head down a little bit and just stood at the back of the group, and eventually my time to meet him came up, and man, the guy was I do not understand how anyone in the world can have a problem with him. Like, I understand that, emotions are a really powerful thing, and some of the things that he speaks about can be fairly emotional, but the guy, like, you listen to him speak, and first of all you go, okay, he makes a whole heap of sense, but then second of all, you meet him in person like this. He didn't know me from a bar of soap. He's trying to have a night out with Dave Rubin and his wife, and he had all the time in the world. He made eye contact. He goes, "Hey, what's your name?" I spoke to him, and I reckon we were talking for just 2 or 3 minutes, and for him it was just another conversation. For me, I was there going, "Oh my gosh!" Like, my heart was pounding. I was trying to keep the conversation like just natural, but I could feel my face going a little bit red, and then at the end of it, he goes, "Man, like, thank you so much for coming and let me knowing how much my work has helped you. I really appreciate it." He used my name again, and then Dave Rubin was next to him as well. At the time, I didn't know Dave Rubin as well. But I knew my wife loved him, so I said, "Dave, like, how you doing, man? My wife's a huge fan of your work, and I've heard a little bit of what you had to say, and I like a lot of what you're going about as well." And he was exactly the same, and it was a cool experience just to be able to be in a room that you would expect a bloke like Jordan Peterson to be in, that dark arts kind of vibe. If you listen to his song that he's just released on his YouTube channel, I can't remember what it's called. Wish I could remember what it's called. But if you listen to that song, you go, you know what, that song could be played at Speakeasy HQ. And so, man, the amount of times that I've told that story since that particular night is, I've got value for money based on the fact it was free entry into that place. It's one story I've told to so many people. But I think that's one thing that I love, because you know how you say you're told never meet your heroes. You don't want to meet your heroes because the reputation that they have in your mind doesn't match up to the nature of the person in general. I left with the reverse experience. I went in there thinking so highly of him, and left thinking even more highly of him. And as a side result, got really into what Dave Rubin had to say as well. So, man, it was a really cool experience. If you're in Melbourne, you haven't been to Speakeasy HQ, you got to go check it out. It was a really cool vibe. But anyway, JP's coming back to Melbourne later in the year, so I've quietly got my fingers crossed that he's going to be back there, so I can say, hey man, remember the last time that we got up and it was he won't. I'll never do it.